Okay, the mosquitoes are out. Full force. Wow. I think this is the place where Yoda came from. Goose Island State Park. I mentioned in my last video that this park was a personal favorite for personal reasons. Well, when I was growing up, this was my mother's favorite state park, and coincidentally, our visit here just happened to be on Mother's Day weekend. I didn't plan it like that. I just wasn't paying attention when I made the reservation. So, we decided it would be fitting to come up with a name for our trailer this weekend in honor of our mothers. Mrs. Switchback lost her mother in 2011. My sister and I, we lost our mother a little over a year ago. There was no way we were not going to name our trailer as a tribute to them. Now, me being me, I had already come up with a couple of clever yet dorky names, but a revelation. It was so simple yet so poetic. We just used our mother's first and middle names. So, allow me to reintroduce to you Janie Marie. Of all the state parks we visited when I was a kid, this is the one we frequented the most. Goose Island is a small state park as far as Texas state parks go. It's a shade under 322 acres, but it has a bit of everything. It features campsites that are primitive, open, wooded, and some fantastic bayfront sites. No full hookups here, but they do have 2 dump stations. It's also a park that was constructed by the Civilian Conservation Corps back in the 30s. Same as the last park we saw, Lake Corpus Christi. It also features an absolutely epic fishing pier. A lot more on that later. We're also going to visit an old friend while we're here. And of course, we're dealing with subtropical weather. The entirety of South Texas being inundated with rain for 2 whole weeks prior to our arrival didn't help. The mosquitoes were so thick at times that if given a choice between them and a zombie invasion, I may just go with the Z's. But it's not Goose Island without mosquitoes. We came here to relax, fish, enjoy ourselves, and I'll do some reminiscing. The first part of this video is going to be about the park. We're going to explore it a little bit. And the second part of the video, we're just going to have a lot of fun. I think you're going to like it. Stick around. Site 152. Very nicely shaded. Water, 30 amp, 20 amp. No sewer. Fairly level. These are newly paved sites. All the asphalt is new. I don't remember this the last time we drove through here. A huge oak tree right behind our campsite, right in the back of it. Nice area if you wanted to pitch a tent back here. Little green space. Wooden picnic table. Slightly unlevel on the passenger side. Slightly. Maybe an inch. No big deal, no problem. But yeah, this has been a wonderful campsite. Couldn't be happier. I kind of thought that I was getting the cream of the crop here as far as campsites go, but seriously, there were a lot of campsites like this one. Even Cooper settled in pretty quick. What you doing, Coop? Welcome to Cooper's Corner. This is where he spends most of his time. Except nighttime. Nighttime, he's all over the place. Right. Isn't that right? And I figured since I was here, I wanted to check something out first before we prodded along. 145. That's the one that we used to stay in when I was a kid. I remember this. And for good reason. Look at it. It is absolutely private. Plenty of space. It's a beautiful site. Beautiful. Yeah, this will always be like a second home to me. and about 45 trillion mosquitoes. We went to war with these things. 4 foggers emptied around the perimeter of the campsite, a fire and enough citronella candles to signal Mars. We coated ourselves with about 6 different flavors of off, ranging from mild to atomic, and that's what it took to keep them even marginally under control. But hey, we had some serious business to tend to right now. We're gonna do what every Texan has to do when they go out of town, anywhere in Texas. And what is that?
Go to Dairy Queen.
There you go. All right, guys, we're going to hit the trail. This is the Turk's Cap Trail. All right, here we go. I believe this is, 3/4 of a mile. Not too bad. Remember what I said about pacing yourself? Enjoy the journey. Damn mosquitoes. Later in the day, we decided to visit an old friend. And trust me on this, this is the oldest friend that you, I, or anyone else has. It had been a while. A long while. Thought we'd check in. Well, if there ever existed such a thing as a convalescent home for a tree, we've found it. They even have their own arbor version of traction. Now don't get me wrong, this is not done without good reason. See, this isn't just any big tree, this is the big tree. A tree's age is determined by its circumference, and this tree boasts a circumference of over 36 feet. Yet its age remains somewhat of a mystery. We know for sure that it's at least 1,000 years old. Some estimates have that number as high as 2,000 years old. One thing's for sure, when de Vaca and his Spanish explorers came across it back in the 1500s, even then they knew they'd found themselves a whopper. It was considered the largest live oak in Texas until it was slightly surpassed by another one in Brazoria County in 2003 and yet another in 2016 in Columbus, Texas. However, it stands alone and reigns supreme for 2 reasons: sentiment and resilience. Its strength is unparalleled. It's been around through Civil War battles, Karankawa Indian ceremonies, wildfires, countless floods, and at least 40 to 50 major hurricanes. To put it into perspective, Hurricane Harvey was a Category 4 with winds exceeding 130 miles an hour. The eye actually made landfall right here on August 25, 2017. The Rockport Fulton area was devastated to its core, as was a large portion of Port Aransas and Aransas Pass. Houses were swept off foundations, 100-year-old trees were uprooted, lives were lost. And it didn't end there. It traveled east and caused more devastation to southeast Texas. Houston had record flooding before Harvey made its way northeast through Louisiana before finally dissipating somewhere around Kentucky. Here in Texas, hearts were broken. From the coastal bend all the way up to Beaumont, it was the second costliest natural disaster in U.S. history. And what impact did Harvey have on the big tree? Well, Other than a few lost leaves and twigs, none. Now that's a Texas treasure. All right, we're gonna head back. Okay, the Great Depression. My grandparents lived through this era. They had a lot of adjectives to describe it. Great was not one of them. Of course, I'm in second grade learning about this, so me, the scholar, would try to explain to them that they use the word great not to signify how nice or wonderful it was, but more along the scope and scale of the Depression, which is why they call it the Great Depression. Now, how do you think they responded to that? My grandmother made it very clear to me that when she was living during this time period, her lunch for school every day was a lard sandwich. Sometimes days would be better than others. She might get 2 slices of bread instead of 1. But for the most part, she would have a slice of bread with a dollop of lard stuffed into the crease. Once in a while, as a special treat, her mother would sprinkle some sugar on it. But that's the main story that I remember from the Depression era days. That Depression era mindset always stayed with my grandmother. Anything to save a penny here and there. We went to this restaurant when I was a child in San Antonio called Luby's. It's a cafeteria style restaurant. Every week we went there with my grandmother, and she seemed to have a radar somewhere where she knew that the lady was coming with the cart that had the tea, the water, and the coffee for all the refills you could possibly get. So my grandmother, ever the penny pincher, would make us all drink our iced tea before the lady got there just so we could get another refill. It didn't matter that the glass was already full. She made us drink all of it before the lady would come and then refill the glass. This might happen 3 or maybe even 4 times in one sitting. So we didn't eat much at that place, mainly because our belly content was 99% liquid. Iced tea extravaganza every time we went.
Pretty delicious.
Yes, it was delicious until you had 5 glasses of it in one sitting. By the time we left, we were so miserable, it looked like we were trying to shoplift a basketball hidden underneath our shirt. So why am I rambling on about the Great Depression? Well, that's when this park was brought to life. This was the first coastal state park in Texas. It was constructed by Company 1801 from the Civilian Conservation Corps. It was a 6-month build in 1934 and another 6 months in 35. This pavilion was the crowning achievement. The CCC was brilliant in their ability to utilize local materials. Using pulverized and whole oyster shells mixed with sand and concrete, cleverly referred to as shellcrete, this building was born. Back in those days, during the warmer months, every Saturday the locals were invited over for an evening dance. Hence the pavilions that you always see at these CCC parks. As a matter of fact, most of these CCC park pavilions can still be used as a venue. Call the park for more info on that.
That was pretty. plants and flowers and all that remind me of my mother. Look at that. Puts a butterfly on it. Oh, that's pretty. I saw the wild flowers, and there was like some butterfly. There was a butterfly on it.
I'm done with my stuff.
What was it, Corey?
Did it fight you or something?
Wow.
Well, okay, let's go. Let's go.
I don't know. It was huge.
You mentioned that it looked like a butterfly.
A grasshopper. I said.
Grasshopper, butterfly.
I was looking at a butterfly.
Pterodactyl.
It was huge, and it attacked me.
Rattlesnake. You saw a lot of different things.
It was pretty horrible.
And there were not like fang marks.
Well, only time will tell what happened to me.
So,
But that was interesting.
yeah. So to remedy all this,